Here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Finals Central Tuesday Pug Nights. I'm Sam, one of the hosts here of the Finals Central, and we have a special guest on board for you tonight. Joining me this evening on the caster desk for the first time in the Finals is none other than Piercing CV. Piercing, how are you doing, man? Welcome in.
I'm doing great. Honestly, just the fact of being able to engage with the Finals community is the highlight of the week for me. So, yeah, honestly, being here makes this great. So I'm having a good time myself.
Awesome. And apologies everybody in chat for the delay on tonight's stream. OBS just decided to do OBS things and blow out quite literally every single settings. But I think all the echoes and things like that are fixed. I'm seeing everybody freak out about it in chat. Are we good now? Can I get a W in chat if we're good? I'm seeing some W's. Hopefully we are good. We're not gonna waste any time. We already have a couple games on our hands. If you're new here and haven't participated in Pugs before, it's easy. All you do is join our Discord and then head down to the bottom to Final Round Pugs or Cash Out Pugs and click the Join Queue button. Once you do that, you'll be placed into a queue. You'll be DM'd by our bot once you're ready to get into a match, and then you just need to join the voice channel. That's considered check-in. Once everybody's checked in, you'll be able to choose players, things like that for your lobby. You should be given a map unless it's cash out, which we will pick at that point. And then we jump into your game. We'll get your lobby code and get things underway. So, Piercing, it's going to be a good time. I think we have a good turnout already, it looks like. So we should be seeing a lot of different things between Final Round and Cash Out tonight. I know you're relatively new to the finals. What are you looking forward to this evening?
I really want to see the different kind of loadouts these teams can provide. That's what I'm most interested in. I'm already getting a feel for different types of playstyles, especially with, you know, the unique specializations this game provides. But that particularly, how they interact with them, I've seen some crazy tech with goo guns and goo grenades, and I think that's going to be one of the most interesting mechanics that I look forward to, is how they're able to leverage that.
Nice. So you are a goo gun enjoyer, which will certainly be interesting to watch. But I think we've already got a match on our hands. Let's go ahead and head on over into that. Looks like we're gonna be starting out here on evening, Bernal. They finally changed it. It's no longer 2 p.m. It looks like it's actually 6 p.m., which is something we realized like a week or two ago. It seems like every single daytime stream is at 2 p.m. So, Piercing, ran Bernal before. How you feeling on it?
I've played this map just a little bit. The building clusters can be really chaotic. I'm still learning the spiral, which has always thrown me for a loop, just how to leverage it. It's so high up when you activate it, and it gives you such limited leverage. It's a powerful position, but if you can't really get over that hump to establish line of sight, especially if you get caught out from maybe like a pike or whatever, it can be really dangerous. So I do look forward to seeing the cash out come to that objective. I think that will provide a huge showcase of some of the unique playstyles these two teams will bring forward.
Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, Bernal having not a lot of high ground potential except for a couple power positions shows how important it is to actually hold those. But we're going to jump on board here with Kai. He's running light with the M11, you know, high DPS weapon, but is going to need to close the gap here in order to make that damage effective. We do actually see in the kill feed, though, Far Side getting a pick onto a Sud dude with the SR-84 sniper. That's not normally a pick you see, but on top of that, speaking of not normal, is actually the 2 light 1 heavy comp out of the Boundless.
I can see it working, though, as long as you have the ability to grapple and give you know, utility to heavy to move forward. But either way, it's not paying off too well so far with the balance. They're pretty split up at the moment. Far Side already going down. That's going to be a hard to reach revive for them. 16 seconds down before they can go back up. Able to get a few shots off from above with the Lewis gun, but still overall, all it takes is a dive, and we're going to see Navy Street be completely isolated here. The RPG to himself. Oh, that's going to hurt just a little bit. But either way, the live wires will be the ones to maintain dominant control for the time being.
Yeah, totally right. Navy Street, unfortunately, does take that RPG down, brings himself down to about 3 bars, but did find that Blueberry to get his health back up. That's a relatively recent addition to the game, actually, is a pickup that did not originally exist within the game. But we see Mango getting a pick there onto Kai with that F-car. We know how lethal that is if you can hit the tracking and stay out of range of Kai on that M11. We're going to jump on with Tech Ninja now, rocking the M11 along with a Sud dude with the LH1. He does manage to get a pick there onto Navy Street. That leaves only Far Side with that sniper rifle on the side of the Boundless. But it does look like the Boundless going to go ahead and elect to plug this box onto Cash Out B.
Yeah, Livewire just has a very dominant topside control. We do see that sneaky getaway from the Boundless, but Livewires, they're going to be coming in really fast, taking that first floor approach. Maybe the Boundless will have a little bit better luck putting on some real pressure from above, especially keeping these long lines of sights to prevent them and deny getting onto that cash box. But I do see a little bit of a potential with how little destruction is actually towards that objective. They could actually try to go for a dive if they so choose. But either way, they're going to be taking that direct fight, and it's going to be bringing it down to a 1v2, as we'll see Tech Ninja and Sawdude get taken out, and it's going to leave Mango Bandit, the last one remaining to get a revive, will be able to successfully take Tech Ninja back up into the fight with that heal. This is why those healing beams are so powerful right now. Able to take a fight, almost bringing one down. That's going to be Navy Street looking to pursue the hunt, but won't connect it.
Yeah, we're going to jump on board with Navy Street here with that Mesh Shield Lewis gun combo. We've seen this start to become kind of the meta here in Season 9 as Double Heavy was reigning supreme, but actually we're not seeing that in this team comp. Mesh Shield, though, has worked its way up ever since the patch that came out for Winchclaw, which actually now gets blocked by Mesh Shield and Dome Shield, which is honestly something that's crazy. That should have been the case from the start, but, you know, to each their own. Anyways, we're going to jump on Kai now here with that M11. Like we've said, he's had a little bit of trouble looking like closing the gap here to get some damage in. A very capable player, though. Some nice damage there on the Sawdude. Finally gets the pick out of that. Tech Ninja also in critical HP down to half. Granted, Mango does have that heal beam if they can regroup, but it looks like that's not going to be the case as Navy Street finds a pick onto Tech Ninja. That leaves Mango, the last one remaining on the Livewires, and that's cash out one going to the side of the Boundless Piercing.
I mean, that is big for them. We saw that initial struggle for the vault, but what stands out to me as significant is every time Livewires were looking for that squad wipe so they could get a clean overtake, but they never got that opportunity. There was always one who was able to slip from their grasp, and that comes from the composition mismatch. When you got two mediums and a light versus, you know, a heavy and two lights, you have a little bit extra tankiness in order to just barely slip out of there. And as well as the healing beams as well, it just makes it that much more stubborn to get a sufficient burst down in order to finish the job. That just didn't really happen for, you know, the Livewires. And I think that's where we see what happened with the Boundless, you know, being able to get away and keep themselves on the up and up.
You're totally right. And it is interesting that you call out the team comps because, yeah, double medium light is definitely something that we don't see in the meta too often. You know, the double heal beams really do come in handy, though, if you could stay together. But we do see actually Tech Ninja there with the P90 getting a pick on the far side. That's that SR84 that we saw earlier out of the picture. That means that Livewires can actually go ahead and start closing the gap here, but they got to be careful not to close it too deep as Kai finds two there with that M11. That's something we've been talking about. Far side with the grapple and the wombo combo on that SR84 sniper to clean up the Livewires.
You take it back, and then you go for the dive, and Boundless, they rip that one up in spades. I mean, the Livewires really couldn't get a good opening there. Boundless, they were able to keep their head count high, and they got solid dive control once they see that vulnerability. They find one, and then they keep the entire roster of Livewires split apart. Livewires just have to have a little bit of better management control as far as, you know, player count and positioning if they want to stay alive. A big punish coming out once again, as we'll see Sawdude going out off the rip. But Farside also to be one taken out. Two lows here. Gonna go for the heal. Will be able to get that off. So they do get a bit of a reset here. And that's gonna be huge for a retake.
Yeah, 3v2 situation. Farside again, still out of the picture here. 5 seconds until coin. Looks like nobody's coming to the rescue there. They do not have defib on the side of the Balance. Gonna jump on board with Kai here. He does almost find that pick on the Tech Ninja, but decides to go ahead and bail out. Gonna go ahead and take that gateway to look for a re-attack here to hopefully try to clean this up. But Mango and Tech, if they might wind up getting back together, can get each other healthy. We do see cash out dwindling down, though. Not much time remaining for the Livewires. They gotta get a move on for this box. Kai getting the pick onto a Sawdude. Navy Street finding Mango, and Navy Street wiping the Livewires, finding cleaning up Tech Ninja.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a great first round coming in there. Wonderful map control all the way around. I mean, the way you've seen the weaving and the pivots gave them such a unique advantage, forcing a consistent reset that they didn't have to really deal with. It's that tempo control. When you have topside fluidity to move and pivot however you please, it makes for a very tough situation because you have to seclude yourself down to first floor just to get that recovery. Even if the live wires didn't get fully wiped, which happened quite a bit, they were able to scrape by with just one person more often than not. But because of the tempo control loss that they were succeeding to recover, as well as the topside control they just really couldn't get a solid grip on, that's what did them in, and the Balance were able to capitalize on that full stead ahead.
You're totally right. I mean, Kai as well, if we look at the scoreboard real quick, Kai going massive with a 6-2, 4,000 damage. I mean, over double pretty much. Next highest on the live wires there, Technaja, 2,300. I mean, we just see where the damage comes in and how much that actually paid off for the Boundless. So overall, Piercing, first time casting the finals. How are we feeling after that?
I mean, it's definitely really chaotic. It takes a second to kind of, get your knuppets, and it goes a lot longer than one would think. You think there's kind of a calm, and then it just barrels right through. You're right into another burst of huge damage. You have to be on your absolute tiptoes. But I think the players, as we've seen here, felt just the same, if not even a little bit more than we did.
You're totally right. I mean, fights do get explosive. It's something, Cody and I, we've casted some of the Pro League and some of the competitive series and things like that. And you can kind of predict these fights typically a little bit more, kind of knowing the tempo, when people are going to jump on and things like that. But that was not the case. And that's actually something we see in Pugs a lot. I've actually found that it's tougher to cast Pugs than it is Pro League because anything goes. I mean, double medium light, for example, a comp that we have not seen in pro play, I think, since Cody and I have even started following competitive finals. And you see here tonight, and then you see a P90 and double heal beam, and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen in this fight, but we're going to have to witness it together. So it is the world's greatest game show after all, and the fights always live up to the expectation.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's thoroughly just so fun to play. It's so unbelievably chaotic. You can't really catch your breath, otherwise, you might miss the biggest development of the entire round. But I do recall that the P90 actually is a new weapon for the medium class. In fact, the first SMG that they've gotten. I think this is obviously before my time. I think it was like, season 7, season 8 that came out?
Season 8,
So
yeah.
I do wonder if maybe that could have a shift for, a double medium. Just because, think about it, right?
Yeah.
You've got 2 P90s, 50-round magazine. I mean, that's just an insane amount of sustain. The amount of utility and shields that you can break while still having room to knock out a light and a medium.
Yeah.
There's just so much damage potential in such a large magazine capacity. So maybe that could have some kind of direction going into the higher echelons of competitive, but that's heavily speculative. And from what I know at the moment, that hasn't really come to fruition, but just a theory, Yeah,
P90 has not shown up just yet in pro play, and it's really because the repeater is still ringing true. I mean, when we're talking about the pro level and the top level of players, obviously precision weapons wind up in pretty much any game, right? High skill ceiling winds up kind of shining through eventually. People are saying, though, the speculation is that when repeater catches a nerf, if it does, and it probably will, P90 might be next. That might be the next thing on medium. We've heard players, I believe, like Lasagna say that, who was a previous Grand Major winner on Nightmare. I mean, I've heard around that P90 could make its way. I mean, it has received some buffs here and there, and that's something that we actually saw back in Season 6 with the ARN on Light Class. That gun released, and it was super just meh. Actually, every gun that released that season was kind of meh. And that included the repeater as well. And they've kind of slowly gotten buffed until something caught a really serious nerf. And then those weapons, all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh my gosh, these are like way better than the last time I tried them. And they've worked their way into the meta. So I fully believe you. I think P90 could work its way in, especially if we ever did make it to a double medium comp. Because, yeah, it can take the role of the light a little bit, where it's provided extra DPS as long as you can close the gap. Plus, if you're running double medium, you can run double movement on one of them. I know you're an enjoyer of the zipline pad combo, so, I mean, that's perfect for something like that.
Oh, yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. And this does pose a question, and this is why I'll ask you, and this is, kind of me, tipping the waters just a little bit, kind of testing it. With the P90, it doesn't have the highest damage per shot, so finishing kills can be kind of difficult even with that higher magazine capacity, because you still got to get 2 or 3 shots in just to confirm that last little chunk of health. And if you're going up against someone with a light, that can be way easier said than done. If you've got, dash, which is still the most dominant specialization for the light. But do you think, as far as the P90 having more meta relevance, do you think just the raw gunfighting ability alone will be enough to propel it into maybe a double medium P90 meta? Or do you think it needs to be, kind of a counter response to, destroyable utility? Maybe, that gets nerfed or buffed, for example, the heavy shield, perhaps?
Yeah, no, you're right on that, and that's actually a great point. Something that we've actually brought up on our podcast around the arena as well is that we think weapons maybe should catch a buff at some point when it comes towards shields and things like that. I do think that is something that if that were to come to fruition, the P90 definitely could be the case for that. People would stop playing Repeater, they get on P90 to help break shields. Double Heavy has been a meta basically since the beginning of Season 9 because the Lights caught a nerf at the beginning of the season where they got reduced to 1 glitch nade rather than 2. That has been reverted since, I think, 2 weeks ago now. And so we're starting to see more HML, which was pretty much the meta since, I don't know, Season 4 or something. And, that very well, it's kind of shaking out right now with the Pro League starting up. So only time will tell. But we're going to jump into our next game here on Fangwei City, another map that just actually released here in Season 9 as well. Players are still figuring it out, but I know the player reception was not the best when this map first released, but now it is grown in popularity quite a bit as people have gotten their hands on it. Have you had a chance to play it yet, Piercing?
Yes, I actually have. And the most interesting part about this map, that to me competitively, that stands out from any other map, is the underways. Under the building, that ground navigation, you don't get the absolute fastest mobility that you possibly can, especially if you're at crouch level, you're kind of slow slouching around. But that unique navigation down there provides hard cover, which is not something you often are going to get a game like the finals. And speaking of a lack of hard cover, we're going to see already Jog looking to take some long-range shots with, like I said, that meta Repeater. Not able to get much successful shots, and already Dude is going to be the first one to be down in this matchup. But they will be able to get an immediate rest, so they're still on the up and up on sustain.
Yeah, Dude, by the way, on Sniper again, or sorry, Agent Penguin was actually the one on Sniper, which is, that's twice in a row. We're seeing the SR-84 in Pugs, which is not something you see every day, but it seems to be 2 for 2 so far. CC, unfortunately, taking themselves down with an RPG, but Young's nearby to go ahead and pick that back up with the defib. He does get the pick on the Tetra, a goated caster of PHL. Young himself, a caster as well, does find a nice shot there on the Tetra. Jog, though, finding Agent Penguin, and then Young trading out Jog for a wipe on the Boundless.
You can only do so much when you got a Repeater. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still meta-defining. I've played it, and it's so strong if you can hit your shots. But hey, I'm not an aimer. I'm more of a brainer kind of guy, so it just doesn't work for me. I need a brainless gun so I can use the utility plays. But either way, you don't have that much for follow-up. So, I mean, it's just unfortunate circumstances. Still putting up the good fight, but either way, that is going to give, some tempo shift control in favor of the live wires. They get to kind of dictate the terms of this next engagement. And so far, they're deciding well, as Young will be the one to catch out Jog with that Repeater.
Yeah, Young putting in damage. If anybody is going to be capable, it's going to be him. Former Alliance coach, Ruby this season. I don't know if he's there anymore. I know he's been he's been a busy bee. He's a good friend of Cody and I, so we love that he's playing tonight. But that guy is definitely capable, if not more. So we're going to jump on board with him now. Let's see what else he can make happen here as the Boundless are back up to full strength. We have a completely neutral fight. We've got about a quarter of the way done here on Cash Out A. Livewires doing an amazing job here at just holding height. It is something that they're going to look to do a lot of on this map. Like you mentioned, having map control is huge on here. We do see Jog taking a bunch of damage. We also see Asadu just trying to get out of there. Tetra does get caught by Young out in the open. Can Young go ahead and confront this kill? He does have that Goo Gun and RPG out of Tetra. Young, unfortunately, getting dropped and gets picked up by Jog. We're going to look at Tetra now to see what else he can make happen here. He is down to critical health, but Asadu coming to the rescue onto CC there. Agent Penguin, the last one remaining on the Livewires. Asadu looking to clean this one up. Agent Penguin finding a nice headshot on the Jog. Oh, and he does clutch it onto a Dude. dude. Tetra and Agent Penguin, the last one remaining, a 1v1. The flip does go in favor of Tetra on the Boundless. Agent Penguin, though, finding a shot into the back there with that sniper rifle. The Pyro Barrel is going to actually come in favor there with that goo gun against Tetra, but Agent Penguin does need to move with haste here as cash out's about 3/4 of the way done. 2v1 situation as Young has gone ahead and coined back in. CC does have coins available, but it's not going to pop theirs just yet. Tetra finding a res onto Jog. Now a 2v3 as Young is going to hit the fib onto CC. Steal attempt coming in out of Agent Penguin on the side of the live wires. If they confirm this, the box might be there. If you see Jog going for a late goose stall, does not actually connect. Finds a pick on Agent Penguin, though. Going to go ahead and maybe look for a steal attempt here of his own. But we do know up above that Young and CC are there, but the Sudude's going to fight CC. Young finding Jog. It's just Young against Tetra and a Sudude, but box is in their possession. That is box one after all of this, going in favor of the live wires, Piercing.
Yeah, I mean, the initial outside control coming in from the Boundless was absolutely crazy, but eventually, once it came down to that 1vx situation, you know, with Tetra, the last one remaining on the heavy, and we will see the live wires after security cash out, do finally get that team wipe. So again, they have tempo control, as we saw when they had the vault in hand. But back to the kind of what really went down there. Once Tetra really backed off heavily there, that just gave Agent Penguin a perfect opportunity to go for that dive. I mean, you're talking about the cash box being tucked into a corner, which is really hard to contest on its own from a distance unless you have a direct line of sight. When you're the heavy, you can tank that damage to prevent taking that vault, but that's just not what happened. And at that point, Boundless were simply out of time, even if they still had a head count going for them.
Totally right, and we're going to jump back on board with Young now. Like I said, this guy is capable. He did manage to clutch up that fight when it was a 1v2 there at the end after the cash out was secured, but he did manage to actually clutch up there. But Tetra gonna find revenge onto Young. CC now down to 2 bars already, does unfortunately take themselves out with their RPG, but takes Jog down with them. That leaves just Agent Penguin on the side of the live wires trying to kite for their life, while Tetra and Sudude try to chase this one down. A Sudude, though, full HP, even with the SRE4 hitting him, is just not gonna be enough as he cleans up Agent Penguin with that ARN.
This is an opportunity that Boundless has really needed. They have not had a momentum control for quite a while. They've been kind of fighting the timing, and it's already cost them a point. So having this golden opportunity to now set the site as they please, I think is going to be a huge relief to them. But Livewire's coming in incredibly hot. I don't think they're going to have that much time to get their idealized positioning set up before they get jumped, as we're already seeing them rapidly approaching the building. Line of sights are starting to build up here. And there's the first shots. Fight coming out from the roof. Jog trying to get some picks in. Does get some major damage onto Agent Penguin, down to half HP, but they do make that intra-building jump. And now it's going to be all close quarters. It's going to be real pressure coming in, folks. Does get some great shots from the sky. Jog taking August Penguin down. That's the secure, bringing it to 3 and 2. Young taking a bit of damage, but Jog's going to go for the dive. Looking to get that elimination, does manage to catch CC. Agent Penguin does get revived back in the board, but they're now clustered down. Damage ramping up big time as Young is now going to be very low. Jog looking to get more licks in, now down to low HP, but does get both of them dangerously low. Goes to the dive, looks the wrong way, and ooh, that's going to be a down. Now going to be a Sudude, the last one alive, with live wires being able to flip that momentum in their advantage. But we're going to regardless see, now that the team wipe has went through, they're going to get that secure. And with it being already 2/3 of the way down, the Boundless are now on a time crunch yet again.
Yeah, Boundless not going to have really much time on a push here. They got to go for something desperate. And knowing that Young is the coach on the live wires for this match, they're going to have some stall involved here. This is going to be a very, very tough push for the Boundless. But real quick, I mean, live wires down to critical HP on both sides of the map. I mean, that was as close, I think, of a fight as it gets, and just somehow they were able to pull it out. Here we go. The desperate gateway coming in out of the Sudude. It's going to put his team on top of the tower here on the live wires. We're seeing a ton of damage being traded out here as Young down to 1.5 bars, but Agent Penguin going to find the pick onto Sudude. Nice positioning there. Young looking for a pick onto Tetra. Blows up the mine. Jog, last one remaining on the Boundless against Agent Penguin, looking for that one hit. Can he find the melee? He does. But it's all for nothing as the live wires do secure that cash out and take the map win.
I mean, there's simply just not enough time. When you have so much or such a time crunch, you're going to see massive rotations underway that you can't really pin anything down. And when you have mobility options like that available to you, you try to go for a steal, but you're just gonna get pressured even more. So, I mean, it creates a convergence, right? A predictability. You know there's gonna be someone hovering around Cashbox, and that alone means the amount of options for those two other players is gonna be much more limited, because you can't just leave someone isolated on an objective like that. It's very predictable, it's very known, you're gonna get thrashed. So you kind of have to hover around that one person if you want to have any real hope of taking that cash box back into control. And that's where we saw the Livewares crush that out so cleanly.
Yeah, you're totally right. And we want to take a quick look at the scoreboard because I'm already seeing in chat that we might have a cash out on our hands, which is going to turn up the heat a little bit here. But real quick, this was the battle of the mediums. Look at Young, 9-3. Look at Jog, 9-6. Only about a K of damage separating them. And honestly, that's probably because Young just stayed alive longer. He had 3 less deaths overall. And overall, I mean, that was the difference maker, I think, in this game. Great plays out of both these teams. I mean, stat line relatively similar between all of them. We do see the Livewires, of course, taking it, and we can probably see why just looking at the stats.
Yeah, I mean, it just really does check out. You always have that one player when it comes to, you know, pugs and, you know, things like that, where someone is going to be kind of the, I don't want to say hard carry, because trust and believe, I'm learning that real quick. You cannot reliably hard carry. All it takes is a 3-man dive onto you, you know, knock down half HP. Even if you take one, someone's gonna be hot on your tail. You can only stall it for so long, unless you're just absolutely him, which we did see some very clean shots coming out from both of these teams. I loved the shot or the mid-air take from Jog on the repeater.
Yeah.
I wish my repeater did that.
I know. There's a infamous clip from Pugs where the first week, or I guess the first broadcast we did of the year, Jog had been consistent all night, and I gave him the absolute caster's curse. We jumped on board with him. I said, all right, Jog, been consistent all evening. We're going to see what he could do. Whiffs 8 straight shots just in a row. Hits the reload, still whiffs. And it was like a complete meltdown. So glad to see that he's turning up the heat tonight. He's showing up. That's my boy, though. I play with him all the time, too, so I gotta give him a little bit of love, you know what I'm saying? But real quick, before we jump into our next game, we are going to be moving into Cash Out, which is the finals multi-team format. It's obviously a lot more hectic because you got 4 teams on the map rather than 2. But before we get into that, if you want to join in on the action, or you want to be in my seat or in Piercing seat over there, join our Discord. If you're interested in playing, all you gotta do is hop in right now, and you can go to the queues, click join queue, and you'll be matched up with a team as soon as the queue is full. If you want to join in as a caster or even observer, Cody's running cams for us tonight. All you gotta do is submit us a support ticket. We'll get you on the calendar. We'll find out, you know, what your experience is, things like that. You know, if you've got a duo that you've been practicing with, you know, we can get you on there with that. Or if you're fresh to the game, you know, you can hop on with one of us or somebody else that is very familiar. But enough yapping, not gonna waste any more time. We're gonna jump on my favorite map, especially for Cash Out in this game, and that is Fortune Stadium. A map where, I mean, spawn manipulation is at an all-time high if you're, you know, at the Pro League. Ape Squad, by the way, just dropped their new tool on their website, apesquad.org, for spawn manipulations. If you haven't checked that out yet, make sure you do to learn how you can win more games just by standing in the right spots after you wipe a team. But Piercing, what's your thoughts going into this one? How are you feeling about Cash Out?
Honestly, I really want to see how these teams are going to leverage the double jeopardy. I don't get to experience that a whole lot, unless I'm on the receiving end, of course, because, you know, that's just a solo queue experience for you. But I really do want to see how teams are targeted for double jeopardy, why, and what kind of impact that is going to have.
Yeah, we're going to jump on board with Utopian here, who's running, he's always running some sort of wacky sub, but he's got Dagger, which he is very lethal with if he can get the rhythm going. Got the sonar grenades, smoke grenades, and a gateway. Going to look to play like an absolute rat, including with that cloak here. But let's see what he can make happen. Now, one thing to mention is we see Wei on a few of these names, and that is a triple melee team, typically known as the Dojo of Foul. They are known to cause havoc in the arena, and especially especially against streamers and things like that. So I'm excited to see them, and it's always a blast to me to watch them. But we're gonna go ahead and get into the action now. Rack already dealing out some damage. We did see Utopian go down there, but Rack being on the Shack 50, sorry, with the C4 Dome Shield RPG, the very standard comp out of the heavy, but does go down to Kai, who's actually running medium. This is something that I don't see out of him very often. He's normally on light, but that is a quick wipe onto the Boundless in favor of the live wires.
Wow, yeah, the Boundless were quite a bit boxed in there, and the Livewires were able to punish that so heavily. When you look at how the positioning played out there, there was just so much option and maneuverability the Livewires had, and the Boundless were kind of boxed in into that little cubicle there, and they got heavily stuffed out. But taking a look at Cashbox A, I see we've got a lot of more direct on-site denial coming in from the Big Splash, but they're not having a good time with that, as it's going to be already way Faustus down off the rip with Tech Ninja and Nubar, the last, or up and still alive. They are going to drop down to second, first floor, and that is going to give a huge spacing for Kingfish to take this cash out quite decidedly, which honestly isn't too bad of a move when you really think about it, because trying to take a tight, secluded space like that, already a player down, I mean, that's a tough funnel to break on its own. That just makes it a death sentence. But we are going to see the backstep finally come in. A bit of a third wheel coming in. That's going to be the Boundless, as they're now looking to take this cash box, but they're going to get dropped down. That's the Big Splash looking to retake control here. We got a three-way brawl out here as these teams try to look to find that secure, and no one can get solid control as they're constantly getting pushed off. As we'll see here, Utopia taking one, but gets clapped back by Way. That's going to be blood from the Boundless and the Big Splash back-to-back, as the Kingfish will be forced to decidedly back off here. And that would result in the Big Splash to be the ones to have in control for now, until the Kingfish, they look to come back into the play. The Boundless looking to try to sabotage. They go for the dive and do actually stop the cash out. It does work out. And now with time being so stressed, the chaos of having multiple teams, well, not the Boundless anymore, they're out of the picture. It's looking like that this cash out will decisively go to the Big Splash.
Yeah, an insane third party there. That just went on forever and ever, and nobody seemed to really fully wipe until the Boundless finally did. Utopian on that smoke with the dagger and cloak, just hiding in the corner, making sure that Wade Faustus does not see him with that sledgehammer, because, I mean, double melee. Oh, no! The charge is slam out Mighty G. I don't know if he was trying to take Wade Faustus down with them, but unfortunately, he's going to go ahead and count a wipe over on the side of the Kingfish. Meanwhile, on the other side of the arena, though, Livewire is going to go ahead and secure this cash out for free, obviously. I mean, that is kind of what happens when you have three teams fighting on one side of the map. But we're going to go ahead and get a map reset here. We see Boundless going ahead and setting up here on top of Holtau. This is one of the strongest positions in the game here for middle of the arena. We do also see, I think, Big Splash trying to work their way over to Vault 4 currently. Vault 4 has been tapped, I believe, by the Big Splash, and overall just kind of waiting to see what engagement breaks out. But I think finally the Boundless have been spotted by the Livewires. We're gonna get on Kai here on that repeater. We saw what happened earlier in this match during that first fight where he absolutely popped off. I think he found 2 out of the 3 kills there, which was just insane. And the Livewires gonna go ahead and rotate this around to D, and I imagine try to set up a drop stall, which is very, very common on this map.
Yeah, back into the tower. Cash out. That has got to sting a little bit, but it does look like we're going to have yet another third wheel. These teams love to just commingle and party together, as we're going to see Tech Ninja get some damage onto Kai. That'll be the first elimination already off the jump. This is a totally different exchange from what we saw before, where it was the Livewires who had that initial lead. Not anymore this time around, as they are going to be forced to back off immediately. Now the cavalry's arrived, and that's going to be Kingfish. It's going to make for securing and retaking cash out all that more complicated.
Yeah, Fortune Stadium, known to be made out of paper. We already see the rubble. Also keyword as dynamism. I feel like that's the word that everybody throws around, including Embark themselves. but we see how that floor has already created kind of a interesting piece of cover here that makes it hard to actually go ahead and go for the steal. And we're going to see the Kingfish actually up top here try to manipulate that and use that to their advantage as they continue to try to find a way in onto the live wire. So we're just controlling this cash out. We're actually seeing now that the Boundless and the Kingfish are engaging in combat. I think every single team is here. Hold on, what is going on? I didn't even realize the box was doubled, but the box is doubled, so everybody is here. We're gonna go ahead and see a steal attempt now out of Navy Street on the Kingfish, looking to make something happen. Not gonna be contested just yet. Interesting that no drop was set up on there. We see Way Faustus going huge in the kill feed, finding his brother Way Fauster and finding Kai as well, both on the live wires, and that actually is going to be a wipe onto the live wires. We're jumping over to Utopian now. He's gonna look and see how they can make something happen here, because 24K to their bank would put them in the lead after they've already been in last place with only $3,000. Steal attempt now, though, coming in out of Way Faustus, a very capable melee player, winds up getting off the box. Did not have enough time to go for that as Utopia gets the trade. Nubar finding the pick onto Utopian, though. Just a little bit more time for the Kingfish to stall this out in order for that money to be theirs, but it's not going to be enough as the Big Splash finally get this flip to work out for them. And I think that's going to be it, as they're going to be taking this doubled cash out.
Yeah, I mean, that just makes this way more risky for third and fourth place teams, Kingfish and the Boundless, because now they have a much deeper climb. First place is out of the question. That volatility is not going to be there in order to flip the axis meaningfully in their favor. With 2 minutes and 13 seconds remaining, now they're going to have to kind of split their objectives and hold it. You can't really try to shake up or downfall a team any longer. Maybe you could go for the live wires, but I mean, with how volatile it is, I mean, look at the score differential here. You got third and fourth, 4,500 with, you know, the Big Splash at 48,000, right? So it's really hard to topple now. This is very one-sided here.
You're totally right. I mean, like that is the objective. Anyway. And one thing to mention about Pugs as well is, you know, this isn't a tournament. There's nothing on the line. But if you want to get yourself a win on our leaderboards, which are also in the Discord, you have to win cash out. You have to come in first because, you know, the bot doesn't have support for cash out. So that's just the way it works. And so I was going to say this box needs to be doubled, but they've gone ahead and done that already. And we see the Boundless actually going to go ahead and take control of this doubled box. But Rack, being the last one remaining on the Boundless, looks like he probably just coined in, going to wait for his team to hopefully get back into the fight. Meanwhile, though, we're seeing a ton of damage coming in out of the Big Splash onto the Kingfish. Kingfish, though, getting wiped by Big Splash. This might be an opportunity for them to flip this and continue to put this in their lead. Dire Straits here as well, by the way, because this is only worth 36K, and we see that actually the Kingfish only have 6,000. So even if they secure this, that only puts them at 42,000. They need to find a wipe here onto the Big Splash, who have looked dominant this entire game so far. Box currently, though, still in possession of the Boundless. Tech Ninja finding a pick onto Mango finally. We're going to look and see what else Way Fauster can do here to hopefully even the tides, because this box could confirm a win for them. Basically, it's anybody's to play for, but the Kingfish, who are going to have to get involved in the fight and find some picks and a wipe onto the Big Splash in order to continue going.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but that makes sense, though, when you really think about it. We're down. I mean, it's been one box every round instead of the typical two, as you would see. But in any case, moving on, we're going to see a lot of heavy pressure coming out from the outskirts, trying to ascertain that, you know, outside in building control. Because right now, directly on the cash out, it's complete chaos. Though the Big Splash do manage to find their own little carved out niche, but it's going to be right on the outside outskirts, and that's where we're going to see some caught out positions here, and that's going to shuffle the player counts and the positions. The Kingfish, unfortunately, going to be worse for wear alongside the live wires, who are both down 2 players with 15 seconds to go. Revival is pretty much just out of the question. They're kind of out of the picture. That leaves it up to Boundless to try to keep that cash box if they can. With 3 seconds remaining, they do have the control, and they do end up successfully denying it, securing their second place position. Yeah,
Boundless needed to find the wipe there, unfortunately, onto the Kingfish, or sorry, the Big Splash, in order to take it home. But overall did secure second place. If we were playing a ranked or world tour, that's points, baby. We're moving on to the next round, but here in Pugs, you only have one, so the victory only goes to one team. But W to the Big Splash. Overall, a very hectic game of cash out, but I mean, win, isn't it? Am I right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's always gonna be an absolute mess Also, I didn't realize that. Still learning the game modes, folks. That's on me. But yeah, no, I mean, the Big Splash, their initial lead is what was so big for them. They were able to put out incredible damage onto, I believe it was the Kingfish. They flushed them out off the rip and didn't really give them an opening to retaliate meaningfully. I mean, even when they were getting third party, fourth party, they were still able to hold their own. And that was thanks to their ability to carve out pockets. Because when you have everyone fighting for that, you know, radial control, the best thing you can do is once the player counts start dwindling, once blood starts drawing, block yourself off and go for that steal, and just all your priority changes. All you got to do is just keep that line of sight and prevent anyone from counter stealing, which is much easier when you have a third wheel and a fourth wheel coming your way than trying to find your niche.
Totally right. Yeah, I mean, cash out just creates a lot of hectic opportunities, and you also got to have what they call macro, you know, in this game, where cash out's almost like a battle royale, a hero shooter, everything in between. It's like there's so many things to keep, you know, up with. Already actually explained it best. It's essentially a 3-body problem. A lot of people try to solve cash out, the people who complain about it, and it just isn't solvable. It is completely random every single time. You know, there's a lot of human variables when you have 12 people on the map. You obviously have destruction and dynamism. You got cash out manipulation. I mean, that's the finals. And so, yeah, it creates a lot of interesting opportunities. But overall, how did it feel casting your first ever cash out match?
Honestly, it felt quite wonderful. I will say, though, I wasn't expecting that many double jeopardy. That completely threw me in for a loop. I was thinking maybe we'd see it once, maybe twice. You know, it'd be kind of like my casual games. But no, It was quite the opposite. This was pretty much every single time all relegated to one cash box. That was not what I foresaw. I mean, it was kind of split in the beginning, but then it completely collapsed into one later on. So I do have to ask though, if that's spamming of double jeopardy is common, what is the rationale initially for, you know, having two separate instead of just immediately going for double jeopardy? Is it just because you don't really have a target yet?
Yeah, so double jeopardy is a new mechanic that has been introduced this season. So, and it's to combat griefing, or the evil G word that people don't like to throw around. But essentially the meta was you would wait until boxes 5 and 6, and then if you're in first place, you would, you know, purposely double 5 and 6 so that you could force out second place. And then, you know, in Ranked and World Tour, you could bring in a team, you know, that's in last place, hopefully help them out and let them, you know, get in and do that. But yeah, it's interesting that doubling really has been curbed since double jeopardy has become a thing, and that's because if you manage not to secure your cash out, you lose half your money. So if you're the team that plugs that box in and then you don't get that cash out, that's half your money gone. So it was a really risky play to see there. But I mean, Way Faustus as well. I mean, he is just gnarly on the sledge. I think they felt confident, especially on a melee comp on Fortune Stadium, to try to close them in and then force the fights closer. It probably actually works out in the favor of melee players. So overall, yeah, so overall, it does look like we're waiting on another cash out. I think people are in the queue, so we're waiting to get things underway. But yeah, cash out, a good time. I have not casted a lot of cash out as well. Yeah. So these are reps for me personally. I just flat out missed that first box got doubled. I didn't see the graphic for some reason. So yeah, it is a hectic mode, to say the least. But I think it's the most unique thing that makes the finals the finals. Sometimes it sucks to play against, but yeah.
And I wanted to comment a little bit more about what you said with Way Faustus, because the thing that's so strong, you mentioned this before, how those towers are just paper structures. When you are able to, you know, stack floors on top of each other by collapsing entire layers and floors, it creates an awkward lines of sight. It makes hitting your shots basically impossible because you're not just dealing with strafing and jumping, you're dealing with climbing, dropping, you know, hopping down the floor and then immediately popping right back up. It makes getting a consistent line of sight to nail your shots so freaking difficult. And that's where, you know, bringing a sledgehammer is a wonderful choice, because not only do you get to displace the positioning even more by further destroying the terrain, but you also are able to punish just how difficult it is to line up a shot so you can pretty much run in rambunctiously and get away with it, because chances are even the best players are going to have a hard time hitting their shots, and that's your window of opportunity to dive in.
Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, Sledgehammer is certainly, it's one of, in my opinion, the toughest things to make work, because you're a huge bullet sponge on heavy alone, right? And there's so many things that if you get close to people and you're not ready, I mean, you can get ripped apart, right? M11 out of light. I mean, just a ton of different weapons and utility out there that can really punish melee. But the Dojo Foul, I mean, I feel like I glaze them every time we do pugs, but they're just super fun to watch because they still make it work. Those guys were demons pre-Sledge nerf, and they're still hitting Diamond and pretty much rising the ranks almost to Ruby, even with a nerfed Sledgehammer that just isn't as optimal as it used to be. So
yeah. Hey, well, you can do me a favor and you can tell them to hit my DMs up, because I don't know how to play this game still.
The dojo is open for lessons. I think they would happily teach you if you wanted to hit them up. They are
I've been thinking about that,
guys. Yeah, Gary is in our Discord. He's one of them. I think that's Way Faustist, if I'm not mistaken, and he's been playing with Utopian, I think, kind of like helping teach them and coach them, and so on. So yeah, there's tons of people, and I mean, the community always, you know, it seems like the Melee community is in their own little niche and keep wanting to like teach others. So yeah, it's an awesome time.
Maybe I should join them, because I've been finding riot shields have been driving me absolutely crazy, and honestly, I kind of see the appeal of being a riot shield main. I know that's sacrilege. I'm learning a little bit of the culture, but you know, honestly, for how much fun it was, I ran that with a buddy of mine that I'm looking to co-cast with in the future, so look out for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we ran a double riot shield, and it was complete and utter chaos. It was so much fun. Yeah. So I mean, I think I'll engage with that melee community, but it does look like we're going to be getting into this next matchup, so we have that to look forward to. A lot more chaos coming in for you folks.
Totally right. Cis Horizon, a map that is pretty much, I think, the most picked at the pro level, mainly because of its predictability. I feel like it has good sight lines, it flows well. You know, you have giant arena pads around as well to help you with mobility for, you know, teams that are lacking it. Ultimately, I mean, yeah, you pretty much any competitive series you watch in the finals, this is going to be one of the map picks, and then Nozomi Citadel is probably one of the others. And then it's a toss-up on the tiebreaker, you know, Bernal, Vegas, things like that. But we're not going to waste any more time. Time to get into the digital landscape known as Cis Horizon, sponsored by CNS. Piercing, take us away.
Yeah, with this map, mobility is key. You've got massive open corridors, so closing the gap is going to be one of the biggest challenges. Securing those kills, finishing them off. That's why I find a dagger can be a bit of a dicey choice. I mean, sure, if you can get that perfect wraparound, absolutely go for it. But if you get caught out in open space, yeah, you got nowhere to run. It's a done deal. But so far, we're already seeing that first initial contact, and that's going to be the Boundless, I believe, versus Livewires. But either way, already the Livewires big down, 2 players. Tetra, the last one remaining, also going down. Actually, that's going to be the Kingfish also getting a lot of licks out as well. They're going to be the ones who get that wipe, with Navy Street and Numbar still being alive. So yeah, right now we're looking at some already early team wipes. Big damage coming out, but either way, it does look like Big Splash is going to try to make an escape. And I mean, with such mobility and open space, it's going to be really hard to stop that, as it does look like they will be able to initiate that on Cash Out A.
Utopian, yeah, finding a big pick there. Big Splash and Boundless been battling it out to see who can get this plug, but it did go in favor of the Big Splash. Kai, last one remaining though. Way Faust is going to finally find that with the assist out of Rack. Flip should be coming in on the side of the Boundless, but let's take a look at what's happening on the other side of the arena, as another fight should be breaking out here shortly, and we do see it. We see the Kingfish have actually spawned in next to the Livewires and are on approach here onto Cash Out B. This is a very vertical cash out where a lot of drop opportunities happen, but when you have the Sledgehammer on the side of Way Fauster, that can make things very difficult. Jog looking for defib there, is not going to find it as Way Fauster gets the pick onto him. We now see Navy Street though, and Way Fauster being the last ones remaining on the side of the Kingfish, who do pick up Tom Toast there, and that's going to continue to be a cash out in the Kingfish's favor.
Tom Toast had a great opportunity to put out some major damage there. You even had one that was low, but couldn't find that opening, wasn't able to close the space, was always finding himself stuck in the middle, and that's where that wipe unfortunately came through in that specific situation. But looking into cash out A, we do see a lot of verticality like you were talking about here. Pure chaos in trying to retake that. They do have that floor control, but there's still the drop opportunity to disrupt. Wave Faustus not giving up that floor control, and that drop will prevent the cash out from being secured. It's gonna be a tight-knuckled fight out, as we will see the Boundless will come out on top with the wipe onto the big splash, cementing their control, and with no third party in sight, that's theirs. Meanwhile, we have a very close on contact, heavy on heavy fight out. Kingfish, the ones to win that out in turn, and we now see who will be leading the charge here into the second round of vaults coming in. It's going to be Kingfish and the Boundless taking that first step.
Yeah, Kingfish Boundless looking good here. I think money values are pretty much neck and neck, you know. One wipe on the side of the Kingfish, and the Boundless can go ahead and take control of this match. But take a look at the scoreboard here. Utopian 3-1, making work happen with that dagger. We also see Wave Falster, which is 4-1 there on the sledgehammer. I mean, overall, yeah, Boundless and Kingfish putting in the work, but we are seeing the Big Splash, sorry, struggling to get a little bit of damage. Let's see if they can make something else happen here on this next cycle. We see the sledgehammers going at it as Wave Faustus fights Wave Falster, but he does take that one. Navy Street, though, finding the trade onto Wave Faustus. We're gonna look at Rock here to see if he can help clean this up. Utopian with the assist there to clean up Navy Street, and that is a wipe onto the Kingfish, but third party coming in now on the live wires towards the Boundless. Utopian maybe getting out here with a res, I think, either onto Wave Faustus or Rock. I'm not quite sure which trophy he's picked up here, but Livewire's starting to close in. Jog does not see him just yet. Does he see him? He does see him with that repeater, but it doesn't actually confirm a kill. Red Barrel coming in, though, which does put in some damage. Jog finding a nice falling shot onto Utopian. Rack and Wave Faustus last remaining on the Boundless. This is a great position to be in if you're the Livewires, who have been behind at the beginning of this game. But now, as we can see from the updated UI in the top left, we know that if the Livewires wind up securing this cash out, that they'll actually be in second place, tied with the Big Splash.
Yeah, this is a big split. This is why those late round pushes can really have its weight in spades as the cash value goes up over time. And oh, unfortunate. Kingfish was looking really good initially to take that out, but Livewires were able to get a huge sudden burst in order to maintain that control. But third party alert, look who's on the way. It's gonna be the Boundless. They had a taste of that lead and they want it back. They have every mean to drop that cash box down to their level. Have a little bit of difficulty though to get it, but they do finally have that drop. This is gonna force a full commit from the Livewires, and that's an immediate catch from Rack. That's gonna be that hook. Huge. This is going to create a real pain point for the Livewires. Tries to go for the drop, but the sledge just keeps on sledging. Jog is gonna go down, and we'll see the refrag. That's gonna be thanks to Tetra. That being said, the Boundless goes down.
Tetra barbecuing him with the flamethrower, fella. Let's go. I love to see that out of him. Nice fight there to continue to hold this cash out. That's going to be looking good for Livewires. But on the other side of the map, no time to waste. There's Technage is going to find two to prevent the steal there. Absolutely clutch play, because I don't know if they're going to have much time to take it back. Technage finding all three. That's a team wipe for him. Let's go, fella. Big Splash going to secure this one and pretty much tie up the lobby. I mean, things are close here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at the score line between Kingfish and the Big Splash. We're talking only 1,500 points. A team wipe, I believe, or several team wipes can close the gap there. I mean, that is so tight as far as score line goes. Every little thing makes the difference. Opening the vault, redeeming that cash out. This is very tight. Anybody can take first place. This is an extremely volatile case, and one of the few situations where a double jeopardy doesn't really do you that much good, because second place can just easily creep up and cinch it out. Speaking of trying to cinch things out, we do see Kai looking to put out that initial pressure to try to take that vault back into their hands, but we got one, and it's a runner. Utopian trying to get away with it, but will get taken out. Kai to re-secure it. Now the important part, linking up with the team. Kai gonna take major damage. Does manage to survive though, but the Kingfish is waiting for them. This is where things get dangerous. With such low HP, may be able to get it started, but will not live to see it fully set up. But actually, Kai does manage to actually get out. The Big Splash following close behind, and now it's gonna be an all-out brawl. The fight finally kicking on as they try to retake and build that early momentum. That shield's gonna help a lot. The glitch disrupts. Navy Street taking big damage. Right now, the Big Splash playing a big role in that vertical gatekeeping.
Yeah, this is a massive fight here as the Big Splash are continuing to battle it out here. Kai barely escaping with his life there. Nubar does get the res onto Wave Fauster. Things are pretty much neck and neck, and macro matters more than anything here. Every kill, every wipe, every plug, like that is Utopian's gonna find a pick on a Tom Toast. I don't know if he's gonna try to make his way across the map here to look for a plug. I guess he needs to here because the Big Splash are in control. They're also in first place, so if they secure this box, it is over for the Boundless. So they do need to run it across. We are going to see probably a double jeopardy on our hands as Wave Fauster gets a pick onto Kai. Mango finding the trade on the Wave Fauster. Technage also evening the fight out with onto Nubar. It's just Navy Street remaining on the Kingfish, but he's going to go down to Mango Bandit. And a flip going to start to come in onto the Big Splash. Utopian, though, clutching up there, does get the pick on the Mango. Utopian has started double jeopardy, is going to go ahead and flip this around to get the double here. And this is huge if you're the Boundless, as the entire lobby is wiped. There is going to be time for a push here. Kingfish, 5 seconds remaining on their timer. 5 seconds remaining on the live wires. About 5 seconds remaining on the Big Splash. It is going to be a sprint for this cash out to determine who is going to take this thing.
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely psychotic. I mean, you have every single team coming in. And here's the problem, too, which is going to make things tough for the Boundless. Those two barricades, it provides direct cover to try to go for this. The only thing that can really stop that is going to be dropping the vault down, which is exactly what happens. An outright pandemonium breaks through. The Kingfish and the Boundless going blow for blow, but it'll be the Kingfish who looks worse for wear. The live wire's 2 down. The Big Splash almost losing Kai, but still barely holding on for dear life. And with that, it's time as we will see that cash box stay exactly where it was found.
Massive plays out of the Boundless. Huge heads up play to realize that they were low out of Utopia and go and cloak up and find that confirmed kill. That time winded up wiping the entire lobby, gets the plug, gets the flip, and I mean, that you see what happens. It worked out for him. Insane ending to that cash out. I mean, what more can you ask for? Let's go ahead and take a look at the scoreboard here to see where everybody, contributed. Who helped and who maybe didn't. Kills all across the board, actually. 16 on the side of the Boundless, 7 out of Wave Faustus, 6 out of Utopian kills you. For the people saying Melee is dead, I beg to differ. We see these guys absolutely frying these lobbies time and time again, but also, Tetra, 8 and 7 on that flamethrower. We love to see it out of him. EU ping, by the way. He is absolutely cooking, literally. Piercing, what else did you think?
I will say this, though. If you're going to have a ping issue, what better weapon than the flamethrower? I mean, that's kind of like a pingless weapon, if you ask me, That's just damage over time. The only thing that really makes the difference there really is just the when that first tick of fire damage kicks in. But otherwise, I mean, it's an interesting choice. The one thing that, and we kind of see this with the fact that he's 8 and 7, you can definitely get your kills, but it's one of those weapons, because of its damage rate, you tend to end up with, you die, get out damaged, but then the other person burns to death. That's kind of what tends to happen, and I think that's exactly where Tetra found themselves. So I do find that notable in the fact that it's 8 and 7. That kind of heavily reflects that. I will say, though, interestingly enough, Kai being able to survive for as long as they did, getting out of all of those different situations, especially on a sliver of health, is ridiculous. I mean, that is impressive survivability. And that's huge for objective play, which is clearly what Kai's prerogative was there. That was the priority. It's just the catch-up to support Kai was a bit too slow, and that's where they were getting punished and split. We saw Kai often in team fights far away, having to, weave in and out, sometimes not able to get the burst. So that's another notable thing, is great objective play, but team fights were kind of a struggle point there. So, but yeah, I mean, the Boundless, the thing that saved them in the end ultimately was destroying that floor. That was the biggest thing, right? With the goo, with the barricades, if that stayed up, I mean, easily someone could have tucked into a pocket, you know, got that steal, and nobody was getting it back. But once it dropped to that floor, I mean, it created a reset of pressure that none of the other three teams really could compensate for.
Yeah, and we are not going to stop on the pressure. We're already getting a lobby together for, not final round, sorry, cash out. I'm looking over on the side here just to make sure things are going well, but it's going to be an interesting one. I'm already seeing, I think, a team that's looking a little stacked out of Young, Utopian, and Way Fauster. It is going to be an absolute gremlin brawl out of the Boundless here, so I'm very excited. I also am not sure what map we're actually running, so I'm waiting to see on that one as well. But yeah, Piercing, you've got a couple games under your belt. You're sounding great. How are you feeling after, you know, getting some more reps under?
Starting to feel the tempo. I'm starting to see how this kind of plays in. It's still, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's still more breathtaking than I would have initially expected, you know? You think you have a moment to take a breath, and it's like, well, shoot, now we're back in it again. You know, you're kind of reaching for that last gasp of breath. You know, it's kind of like diving into the bottom of a pool, like a 10-foot, 15-foot pool, seeing how long you can sit at the bottom and then trying to push your way back up. It's kind of like that same feeling of trying to just get that last breath going to finish that point, or to make sure you don't miss that key moment.
Yeah, and as somebody who's newer to, you know, the finals as a caster and things like that, do you have any advice for maybe somebody who is in your shoes and maybe wants to get started or things like that? I mean, has there been anything you picked up yet as we're, you know, getting ready to load in here to our next map?
I think the biggest thing that helps a lot is really understanding those game mode mechanics. That makes a huge difference. You know, knowing how the mechanics of Double Jeopardy, knowing the timing for, you know, the vault, for the cash out, you need to understand what tempo control is, because that really is going to dictate a lot of how you commentate, right? Because if you're, you know, a third way into a cash out being completed and a team wipes, you don't want to falsely assume that it's done and dusted. No, there's still time, but it's a tight window. It gives you a perfect narrative framing. So that's my advice. But also, too, just get your reps in, honestly. I mean, you see me doing okay. So it's a welcoming environment. I've honestly been engaging with so many in the finals community, and they have been absolutely lovely, including you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
And thank you, Cody, for helping out in the background. It is challenging because of how chaotic it is. If you've never done like a casting that is just around the clock, if you've done something more segmented, it's hard. It's really difficult, but you get a feel for it and you know when you can breathe. Look for those moments. It'll help.
Yeah. Well said, well said. And again, as we're waiting for this match to get underway, if you are interested in casting and haven't done so before and are worried about, you know, high stakes environment, things like that, come join the Discord. Drop us a support ticket. Let's get you into the schedule and get you to see how you like it, you know? Ooh. Very low stakes, nothing to lose here, but Young finding Nubar, which has everything to lose, as he's going to go ahead and open this fight up with first blood. We're going to see CC there trying to kite out, but it's not going to be enough against the sledgehammer of Wade Bowser. Young finding an insane shot onto Mango for a wipe on the live wires. All gas, no brakes out of the Boundless here.
That was some nasty burst damage from above. Did so much work for the Boundless, especially when it was all concentrated on one for an immediate elimination. Open space, you get that dive. I mean, why wouldn't you chase that? I mean, you're already hurt. You're looking to recover. Deny that opportunity. Now you have cash out control. We're talking already so early on, and the Boundless have the cash out already started, and we're seeing the big splash is still recovering with 8 seconds to remain. This gives so much momentum control for them. They can set up, identify where all the consumables are, and let them break every window, set up vertical. They have the full setup and time to spare to scope out where this team's gonna be coming from, which they already have the answer for. It's down from the first floor.
Totally right. I mean, they have tons of time. They were fortunate that the vault is near the cash out. It just gives them even more valuable time. Look at this goo peek here out of Young. This is an interesting approach. I think he's going to use that to get one more level up here. Cash out is one floor above. He's now going to be pinned, though, looking for a pad off the corner. The guy, like I said, is a gremlin. He's got the movement going here. Wayfauster, though, does seem to have found a target. Does find the winch. Is going to look to get the overheads here to confirm the kill onto Mango. Bandito does actually find it. Lockbolt now going out on the side of Wayfauster. He is going to get picked up there as Young is going to get the res onto Wayfauster. Utopian getting the pick onto CC. That leaves one remaining on the live wires. And as I see that, Nubar falling to Wayfauster. One thing to mention, by the way, is that cash outs are pretty staggered. Big Splash did get the plug, it looks like, but I mean, it is not nearly as far along on the side of the Boundless. So I'm curious to see what happens here. Depending on when this cash out wraps up and how fast this fight catches up, the Boundless might actually elect to go ahead and rotate over to the Big Splash and look to third party on their own.
Honestly, it's a very real possibility, but I think with how much vertical is available and the fact that Wayfauster is going to be playing that sledge, it's going to be very hard to find a pocket to secure. But either way, the Kingfish are going to be looking to try to find that opportunity. However, thanks to Young and the outside scouting, know exactly where they're coming from. They know what's coming, and there's just so little time. They have to be bold if they want to take this, but an immediate elimination is going to complicate that. And yeah, as you can see there, they're out of time. The Boundless takes that, and it is looking a little bit rough for Kingfish. Boundless taking major damage too, as it's going to be the 1v1. The sledge does what the sledge does, and it team wipes as the Boundless look so dominant here. Meanwhile, the live wires looking to get a take onto the Big Splash. Again, a major time constraint, but they do manage to get a tap. They are right on the cusp of trying to take it, but they have to get some big damage off of this cash box. It's a 1-for-1 trade, trying to find it, but it's too late, as it will go in the favor of the Big Splash.
Oh, nice shot out of Jog there to find the kill on the Nubar. Oh my gosh, I was holding my breath. I was wondering if he was going to get that one out, but cash out going in favor of the Big Splash. Taking a look at the scores here, only 3,500 separate the Boundless versus the Big Splash. Overall, we see Wayfaustus going 4-2, Jog 3-1. I mean, definitely getting their picks over there. Livewires struggling a bit, 0-3, 2-3, 1-3. Young 2-1. Wayfauster had a bunch of kills there as well. Overall, a very frag heavy lobby, which is something that you do get on Azobi Citadel. This causes for a lot tighter corners typically, especially when you start moving onto those cash outs. There is a lot of height, there's a lot of verticality, things that you can, you know, put things like the repeater to work, but when it comes to actually pressuring an objective, that's when you realize that the fights wind up a lot closer quarters than initially thought. We're gonna jump on board though with Wayfauster here, who has been showing the live wires what it means to enter the dojo, as he's been putting in work with the sledgehammer all evening so far. Already has a barricade down below, looking to play a drop here, it looks like. So if the live wires move on, he's probably going to drop that box down into the barricade, which is going to trap the live wires if they decide to go for the steal here. We're also seeing Young hanging out next to him, ready to provide some support. It's going to pick up pad, look to reposition here. Might look for an RPG or something out the backside. We're going to see Wayfauster now going up top with this lock bolt. Not
well,
yet.
right now the problem is...
Go ahead.
The problem is they're playing so slow, and that's what's going to get them caught out, is they're going to feel that crunch to make the move, and that's what's going to get them caught, as we saw with Mang and Nubar taking big damage. CC looking to get the lick out on to Young, almost gets that elimination, but isn't quite able to. Does manage to get the res, but they're so close to tail. At least one of them is, and that's going to make this revive difficult. Walking it up on the stairs, now completely surrounded, and it's gonna be a shutdown for the live wires. The time crunch just now intensifies.
Absolutely right. The Boundless looking dominant. They look great. This is the team that on paper coming in, we're looking a little scary with the roster, and we're starting to see why. They are absolutely frying the live wires. Wayfaustus, though, finding a pick onto a Sadu. Jogger finding one onto Tetra. Navy Street, the last one remaining onto the Kingfish. This fight might be over before it even starts here. Navy Street's going to continue to try to kite here. Looks for a fib, decides not to go for it. Probably not a bad idea here, as he's just going to go ahead and wipe it out to Tom Toast on the Big Splash.
Yeah, that was a little bit difficult to get out there. But the thing that's kind of confusing to me too is when you know you've got multiple chasing you like that, you've got a dematerializer. That's the key moment to go inside, through the wall, close it off, get out of there. But instead try to take those shots and it didn't really pay off. But meanwhile, looking back at the live wires and the Boundless now shooting it off with each other. And so far it's gonna be a 2v1. Nubar able to get one, takes major damage. Utopian to be the one to clean it out, and that's with the dagger. We've been seeing a lot of dagger plays here. This has been quite interesting. I've heard some pretty bad stuff about the dagger unless you can get that backstab, so I'm quite surprised to see it alongside its steep learning curve.
Yeah, Utopian is known for playing off meta and making the hard weapons work. He's one of our Discord mods, plays with a lot of different people in the Discord. Great guy in general. But yeah, he's a little demon when it comes to things like dagger, sword, different melee weapons. I mean, he just somehow finds a way to make it work. He's got a very unique playstyle that I feel like it's hard to calculate against. It just winds up working out. But we see Tetra going ahead and moving on to the balancer.
Oh.
Nice RPG. Gonna look to follow it up with this flamethrower, but the heal beam out of Young gonna be enough to keep Wade Fauster alive there as he does get the pick onto Tetra, leaving a 2v3 situation as Navy Street and the Sudu look to equalize this fight. Young finding a bunch of damage onto himself there. Is gonna need to back up. He's gonna continue to keep Wade Fauster alive and healthy, but Navy Street finding some shots there. If he can look to Young and find a shot here, that might be enough. It's not, though, as Young gets a pick on a Navy Street. Wade Fauster as well getting a pick onto a Sudu, and that is a wipe onto the Kingfish.
He needed to finish somebody, just couldn't quite find the right target. You've got a Squishy who just peeked on stairs. You've got a Tank who's below half HP. I mean, both so tempting, but, you know, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You got to pick one, pivot the other, and, you know, that kind of is where the wipe just came out. But yeah, I mean, we're looking at 48 seconds, and still the Big Splash and the Boundless are neck and neck, but the Boundless just had more wipes, so they have that persistent lead. Even if both get the cash out, it doesn't really matter. It'll be the Boundless, and that's gonna be really kind of the struggle for the Big Splash, especially if the Live Wires takes this one, then that almost puts them out of the running for first place. But this steal could complicate things for the Boundless, but they are certainly putting on the pressure, trying to stall this out as much as possible. But with it being 2/3 of the way there, that's going to be really difficult to accomplish. I see our melee boy wants to get his legs. Wait for Faust finally gets Utopian down with one big old bonk. Still trying to go for that steal, though, with Wade Faust the last one alive, now getting wiped out. That is gonna be a secure in favor of the Big Splash, and that, with the time remaining, more than likely, it's going to be giving the Big Splash the first place that they've been wanting this whole time. It just flipped on its head.
Big plays there out of Wade Faustus. I mean, looking for the bait against Utopian. We see the, you know, pre-firing essentially of that right click, you know, the overhead, just trying to find the kill on Utopian. Utopian almost baited him out as well. Looked like he dropped in with that cloak, but actually didn't. Stayed up top, which, you know, wanted to draw Faustus up there, but it didn't actually work out. But this is a very pivotal moment here because the Boundless are not out of this game. Reminder, again, if you're watching or just tuning in, you need first place to technically win. That's just the way the bot works. No, these guys are just playing for fun, but if you want to technically have a win on the leaderboard, you got to come in first. So Boundless do actually need to secure this cash out, and with no time remaining on the cash out, Young is looking to stick it here. Can he make it happen? No, he is gonna go down, and that winds up actually working out against the Boundless.
Yeah, with the Big Splash, they're gonna be the ones who come out on top. I mean, yeah, they've just had such a dominant appearance early on. That did them so well. They really never let up any of their objectives. Able to get those massive hits out. The burst damage was honestly probably the biggest part. Able to find one and then dive in to punish any who tried to fall back and recover. I mean, we've seen so many rapid fire wipeouts because, you know, the two leading teams, the Big Splash and the Boundless, were constantly punishing, preventing those revives and those resets. And that really makes it hard to mount a comeback. And that's where we see such a drastic score differential here. You know, when you're able to get one off the jump, dive, shut out, get a team wipe, it turns the clock so far into your favor that when it comes down to the last seconds, yeah, I mean, there's really not a lot you can do without nothing short of a double Jeopardy miracle.
Definitely way faster. I mean, 13 and 5, 8,300 damage. I mean, just look at the damage difference in the lobby compared to him. The guy was literally a raid boss the entire time. Unfortunately, the Mango Bandito struggling to find some footing there, going 0 and 6. You know, they were up against the Boundless the entire time. That's a tough one to make happen. But yeah, overall, just very close game. I really thought the Boundless had that in the bag, but I think one wipe costed them essentially.
Oh, pretty much. Once they lost at even one cash box, because the Big Splash was just on a flawless generational run, that was the name of the game right there. It was a matter of who can wipe out more squads. It was basically an arms race, right?
Yeah.
Cash out quantity wasn't even a part of the conversation because they were both just stacking them. It was a matter of who can wipe out more squads, who can take the vault first, the little things, right? The stuff that most people aren't really thinking about when it comes to cash value that doesn't really win you games. But when you're both just absolutely killing it on each iteration of the cash boxes, then yeah, those things suddenly do matter. But in trying to build that point ramp up, ironically, that's what gave Big Splash their win when they, you know, conceded one cash out box. That's all that it took.
Yeah, you're totally right. And I'm sorry, I'm looking over on the side here. I'm just checking to see if we got another game. It does look like we actually have another cash out ready to go. People are loving cash out tonight, which is very exciting because, like I said, I need reps on it. Every tournament that we cast is typically final rounds. So, you know, this is great practice nonetheless. So, and once again, I know I sound like a broken record for those of you who've been watching the stream since we went live, but if you are just tuning in and you want to be in my seat or which one? This one, Piercing seat, or you want to play, join our Discord. You can type !Discord in chat to get a link and head on over. If you want to play in the games tonight, all you gotta do is join a queue. If you'd like to get into casting and you've never casted before even, drop us a support ticket. We would love to get you on the schedule. If you're brand new, we can seat you with either myself or Cody or another experienced caster. Or if you've got a duo and you're wanting to try new things out with them and you want a space where, you know, it's low stakes. There's, you know, no big deal if you mess up or flub or have issues here and there, you know, that's fine. That is what this is for. We are literally building this as kind of a community training ground for people to get reps in throughout the week before they move on to their first or next big event here within the finals.
Oh yeah, I mean, with the announcement for what's coming up with esports, that was kind of, you know, my golden ticket, my affirmation of, oh, I've got to get in on this. And you can too. I heavily encourage it. One other pointer I will say though, try different things. Try different things. Give different loadouts a shot. I haven't tested Light Out yet. I do plan on doing that because I've seen how ridiculous their plays can be. They can absolutely be solo playmakers, especially if you're just pub stomping. I mean, it can get ridiculous. I've seen some lights carry my sorry butt into the final round, so I will be trying that out. And I mean, it gives you so much perspective. It also gives you kind of, you know, an idea of how different utility interacts with each other or even with other different classes. Like, for example, you know, the minigun, typically not the strongest weapon, right? It's slow, it's clunky, it's not very accurate, but you pair that with a healing beam and a shield and suddenly that is a death stick. And I mean, you don't have to worry about anything. I mean, shield goes down, fine, you still got a heal beam and you're already getting out like 300, 600 damage, you know? 3 people facing you, who cares? I mean, you learn so many different co-role interactions by flip-flopping with different roles. So that I would definitely give that a shot. That helps a lot to broaden your horizons, and it's why this cast is even possible today for me.
Yeah, no, totally right. I mean, getting your feet wet with every single class, one, is a daunting task. I mean, I've kind of said that I think the finals almost encourages one tricks. It's very full of a lot of people who play just one role because they love it. I mean, I probably have 600 to 800 hours on medium, and now I've been playing heavy for like the last 2 seasons, and you know, it's given me all new horizons on like why my heavy needs support where he does, what it's like when you don't have a pad or a zip or a gate to get you in there to hit that RPG, why those things matter so much. So you're totally right. I mean, definitely being versatile, even if you're loading up new casual modes like Point Break or TDM or Power Shift, you know, like all those things come into play. One thing I do want to mention as we're waiting on this last lobby to form up is real quick the schedule for this week, because we actually got a lot going on now that the Finals Esports is back. Obviously, Tuesday nights is TFC Pug Night. We host these every single week as long as people are interested. So if you want to get in on the action, join the Discord. Tomorrow night is the first play day for North America for PHL, the Finals Premier Pro League. It's got an awesome event. We are happily partnered with PHL. We help out a lot where we can. It's all community ran. But North America kicks off tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. I will be live. I'll be watch partying it in our typical watch party format here with TFC. But stop by if you want to catch the best of the best play on their first run of the Pro League for 2026. Following that up is Thursday. We have Crest League. We are actually the B stream, the official B stream for Crest League's new tournament. It is essentially 2 SR84 snipers and a melee heavy on a team, and they are going to be playing quick cash. They're going to play 4 games in total, and based on kills and also placement, will earn points to determine a winner. It's a very cool tournament. Very short. It kicks off at 6 p.m. Eastern. Right here on TFC, we'll be showing the games that can't be shown. They'll also be live on the Vanguard Gaming Twitch channel as well. Thank you to Crest League for partnering with us on that event. Friday is Friend Swap Friday. We play Friend Swap games here on my channel, and it's a good time. But Saturday is when we kick things up again, because we have PHL that we're also B streaming for this season. If you were here last season, you know that we did that for North America, but we are doing it for Europe and North America this year. So you won't miss any action as TFC is providing extra coverage. Cody and I will be on the mic and observing all the games that are not shown on the main broadcast, so you can't miss anything. If Five Fears winds up on the B stream, you don't have to worry about missing a match. So definitely tune into that. 1 p.m. start time Eastern for Europe, 8 p.m. start time Eastern for North America. And that's it. That's all the yapping I got, and then we rinse and repeat almost next week. We kind of do the same thing all over again. So we are full swing Finals Esports, and it's kicking off for pretty much 9 months, I think, now, is what I've heard. I don't know if that's the real statistic, but that's what I've heard. So we're going to be busy every weekend from here on out. But yeah, Piercing, it's been great casting with you so far. You know, I'm glad that you're checking out the Finals Esports. I think, you know, it's the best thing out there in the community, really, in terms of, like, FPS shooters. So, you know, what are you enjoying so far?
Honestly, I have to say, you know, as great as the games are, the matches, the tempo, the energy, honestly, I think it ultimately just comes down to the community. I've never seen, you know, an FPS community that has been so welcoming. I mean, I kid you not, when I talked about, you know, making my move into casting of Finals, I literally got sent a literal meme, you know, of me. I said that to you, Sam,
yeah.
When I got in. Yeah. Literally just a copy paste of my conversation in there about winning my first cash out. So, I mean, it's honestly crazy how engaged they are. And it's so easy to, you know, find your circle, which to me, it's really hard to be into an esports when you feel like you don't have a community to rally with, or, you know, a team to, you know, root for or root against, you know, rivals. The interpersonal aspect is what really makes an esports what it is, and I think the Finals does an excellent job in that regard, which is honestly quite impressive, because I think we all know how toxic FPS games can get from time to time. So it's a nice break.
It is, yeah, it is, and you're totally right. It's you know, we've been around doing content and doing kind of finding our footing within the community now for a little under a year, and the esports community, PHL especially, like, welcomed Cody and I in with, like, open arms, and now, I mean, we are just here to, like, help grow the esports scene as much as possible, including, like I said, B streams is a big thing this year. So if you've got a tournament that you're looking to host, but you're worried about not being able to show all the games because they got to be played in parallel, cut that in half. Hit us up. We'll do it for you. On top of that, though, yeah, it is an amazing just community. I mean, going to the major in Sweden and meeting everybody for the first time, and it's like you realize how small the circle really is, because it is a niche player base after all. You know, it's not huge like Call of Duty or Halo or any other like FPS esport right now. So yeah, we're happy to have you here, Piercing. You know, again, you're always welcome back for casting or playing or anything like that. And yeah, thanks for hanging out this evening with me on the mic.
Honestly, I would say this was asymmetrical. I was one who was, you know, kind of freaking out, like, oh my gosh, this is the opportunity to, you know, finally get to, you know, talk about the finals. This game that I just found I've been utterly infatuated with. Also, the destruction in this game is just amazing. I love how you can topple entire buildings. I mean, that's just not commonly seen, but wow, we're getting in heavy and fast. The second floor combat, Wave Faustus gets the Sledge Mayhem onto Mango. That's the immediate down, taking it down to the street. Now the longer lines decides to dash back, but gets cut off by Datalicious. And there's the first wide. Boundless gonna take it in spades, with only Young to be the first to go down in the team.
Yeah, quick shout out, by the way, to Datalicious. That is an Ape Squad partnered creator and caster for PHL. As always, you know, we like to say a little hello. So welcome in. Dread is actually his real name, Dreadalicious. Welcome in, brother. We are glad that you were able to actually get in on a game, and I hope you have fun in the arena playing against Young. But looking over on the other cash out now, we do see Jog actually finding a pick onto Tetra in the kill feed while we wait for this fight to get underway here, which is going to be pretty much any moment now. We see the live wires setting up on top of the shrine. Gonna look and see if they can find any info. Pad coming in now. We do see the RPG out of Datalicious here. Gonna go ahead and drop in, look to get some damage. We see Young taking a ton there, but somehow escaping with his life as the lock bolt does connect. Datalicious going down to Wave Faustus. We've seen everything that he can do. Yes, he finds another one on the Mango Bandito. Sundew, the last one remaining, does go down to Aquavex. Box remaining in control of the Boundless.
Yeah, I mean, that was just too big of a dive, right? It was very clear what Boundless was setting up there. You want to push us from the front? We've got the line of sight. Come and get us. But it was a bait and switch. They immediately went and jumped across to the other side, and that's where the lockdown was ready to go. That was the real defensive posture. I love the facade that the Boundless put up there. It paid off so well, and allowing them to secure with now a 2/3 time, but this is still plenty for the Big Splash to work with. They just have to make sure they don't get too far deep into Wave Faustus' loving, bludgeoning hands. Otherwise, it's gonna be some devastating output. Not in their favor, though, but they do still have to make a move, and that's where Boundless have an opportunity, is that forced momentum with the time constraint, and one gets grabbed, yoink, and gone. There it is, the Boundless. They're gonna take the big splash again.
Yeah, Wave Faustus, a hug you do not want to take. As we see there, you know, just making absolute work out of the utility available to them with that winch claw, the lock bolt. I mean, it's one of the fights, but we're going to spend no time. We're going to go ahead and jump on over here as Mango Bandito finds some success onto Tetra. 2v2 situation as Datalicious did go down. Utopian finding the backstab there. Navy Street picking up a Sundew. That just leaves Mango at last remaining on the side of the live wires. They're going to look to equalize the fight here on the Navy Street, who's got that goo gun to allow them some sort of escape. We see the gateway, though. They did make their way out, and they have already regrouped. 3v1 situation. Mango going to look to try to even things out, but you know they have the dagger on the side of Utopian, but no. That's going to go down for him. The dual blades now, though, coming in the way of Tetra to run down Mango. Yes, he's going to have to back up here and wait for his team to coin. Datalicious, 2 available, has no time left on the timer. No. Unfortunately, the defib does connect. It's not going to be enough as a Sundew does go down to Tetra. Steal attempt, though, it looks like coming in here on the side of the Boundless, who already secured their cash out on one side. But like I mentioned earlier in this tonight, if those boxes get too staggered, that can happen, as now Boundless looking pretty at 25K with nobody else even really near 10K yet.
I have to interrupt, guys. I want you to know Tetra got a defib kill into a right click on a duel.
Oh my gosh.
That's ridiculous.
That is
oh my goodness. Yeah, but I will say this, though. I mean, you saw how Kingfish was so badly battered and bruised. I mean, you're still looking at, you know, 2 players who are down much later on, and there's finally the wipe that's gonna be given lovingly by the Faustus tap. You know, the classic, as we love to see here. But I mean, yeah, they just have to be a little bit better about their you know, positional strength. They were so weak for so long. They got to eventually reset. Meanwhile, the Boundless are still just on an absolute killing, being the ones to finish off the Kingfish. Lewis gun spam from us, dude, looking to try to just get a little bit of damage down at somebody. Other than Aquavix, it's not going to be too much. But right now, he's kind of all alone, has to either make a choice, put some pressure down immediately, which is risky as a heavy, especially when you have Young who can dive in as the light. But it does look like they'll finally get that link up, as the Boundless will be in for an open terrain fight.
Yeah, look at Young here scaling up the top of construction. This is a huge vantage point, but you got to be very careful as it's easy to fall down, as we just saw. But Young, being devious as always, trying to find some sort of information onto the live wires here. We're seeing the cash out timer dwindling down, and really nobody can let the Boundless take this here, or else the entire lobby is going to be in trouble. As once again, if you're not first, you're last. We do see Datalicious just kind of standing here for a moment. I think he's just looking for some information. Pad does go down out of Mango Bandito. They finally go ahead and execute the attack here. Looking for an RPG that does connect. Nice damage onto Aquavex, but a gateway going to be burned out of Young here. Aquavex looking to cut away. Does get cut from his team, though, as Wave Faustus finds two. Datalicious picking up one, though, onto Aquavex. That's Wave Faustus and Young remaining on the side of the Boundless. Datalicious going to need to go huge here, and he's got to stay out of the loving arms of Wave Faustus if he wants to make this fight happen. Young went ahead and peeled over, got the res onto Aquavex here. Datalicious looking to make something happen, but unfortunately has been spotted, and there he goes into the arms. The Wave Faustus and the bye-bye beam up as he takes him down for another wipe on the live wires.
What a monster. What an absolute demon. You think he's too far away, or, you know, the timing's just not right for him, and then somehow he's still there anyway. You know, that comes down to great positioning, but also really knowing the map. Maybe a little bit of support from your team to give you that opening to dive so deeply in, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was just a really unfortunate situation, because Young was very far away trying to recover. There was an opportunity to punish, but that opportunity was not taken. And that's why we saw that wipeout that we bared witness. Meanwhile, we've got the live wires and the Big Splash who are looking to duke it out here, but the Boundless are coming in again. Is this gonna be a repeat? Two teams battered and bruised, the Boundless cleaning it up. The tempo certainly allows for it. Big damage from Faustus, going ridiculous, going big and large, as now they have an opening and an opportunity to steal it away. Yet again, the vault in their hands. Who can stop them?
I don't think the Faustus can be stopped. The dojo is in session. Just absolutely mauling everybody. I mean, even the movement is something worth talking about, right? Like, we saw him slide in there. It looked like a light would dash at that point, the way he was just moving around there, able to close the gap, just absolutely wrecking havoc with that left click, which is a little bit more wide sweeping to just continue to chip away at these teams. It's just, I cannot believe that there's been so much success out of this Boundless team this map, but we do see them starting to get some pressure onto them as the Big Splash are in hot pursuit. They need this vault. We see Wade Faustus just trying to hold it for control. Ebby finding the pick on him finally, but Aquavex does take down Jog as well. 2v1 situation as Young is the last one remaining on the Boundless here. Big Splash gonna look to even things up. Young down to 1 HP. Tag Ninja needs to secure the gap here. Do not let Young get this res. He's gotta find the kill here, but that dash out of Young is going to go the distance, is going to wind up being high value here as he's able to get Wave Faustus back alive. We've already seen the damage that he can do. Datalicious, though, going to go ahead and get involved here. Unfortunately, does get caught out by Young as everybody is fighting for this 5-box. Meanwhile, Cash Out is in session over on the side of the Kingfish, who are having plenty of time to gain some further progress without really being contested, as everybody's making their way there. And once again, Pierce, it does look like we're going to be moving over into a double jeopardy, or at least that seems to be the case of what the live wires are looking to make happen here.
Honestly, what we're seeing right now is exactly what needs to happen, because as you can clearly see, even if the Kingfish, you know, cashes this in, they still can't win. But I'm gonna be honest, this kind of changes the calculus now that the double jeopardy, now the pressure is on. You know, initially it was don't let them get that vault turned in, but the second the Kingfish were able to make that jump, as long as they can hold it, now they have a winning condition. The Boundless are in a completely different picture. They could be potentially dethroned. They're gonna have to put out big damage, but do they have the full lobby control? We can see them dominate against one team. Can they do it against a whole lobby? So far, it's Faustus who's gonna be the first to go down. That big outright brawl. Young being the light vulnerable, looking to try to still get in here and get some damage out, which is ridiculous how long it stayed alive, but it doesn't matter. It's too late. The Kingfish secure it, sweeping it in their favor.
An insane win out of Tetra, who, like Cody said, got a defib kill and then a right click on dual blades to close that thing out. That was absolutely insane. What a electric ending to this match. And Cody, if you can confirm for me real quick, is that our last match of the evening, or do we have more to go?
I think we call it. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we call it.
Okay, gotcha. Well, that is going to be our last match of the evening. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the scoreboard here. We do see, once again, Tetra 2-7, but that was a defib and the right click, which I think counts for like 10 alone. Wait, Faustus, though, I mean, an absolute menace. Like we said, 14-2. The guy is pretty much unstoppable. Piercing, what are your thoughts?
Honestly, this was a upset, really. I mean, the Boundless always had that advantage, and really, they had it. It was one slip up, right? You can have a great first half all the way through, but one slip up can flip the pendulum, and it was that double jeopardy. That was the one thing they could not afford to have happen if they wanted to have first place, and they couldn't get them. You know, and that kind of comes with an ironic consequence, right? This light double heavy comp has been so dominant in the meta, and it has put out the works here in these pugs. But that's the one weakness, right? Is if you can't get that burst kill onto the light, you know, Utopian going for the run, or at least, you know, outright get Young to sick him, which just didn't happen, then yeah, now you're in a vulnerable state. And when you have all of the teams coalescing on that one point, we know for a fact that statistically the odds are, if you can't get a pocket steal, it's whoever initially held it is going to keep it. There's just too much chaos. Everyone's fighting each other to take it. And that is what gave the Kingfish the opportunity. The Boundless had the right idea of keeping everyone off that point, because if the Kingfish got it with no double jeopardy, nobody can win. That's it.
Yeah.
But the second they let him get away, that created a problem, because all that time ticked down. They already had it. Double jeopardy. Now it's winnable. Now you have to run back, which is not easy with two heavies slugging over and still fighting so far away. It's the perfect pendulum swing. It just goes to show, folks, you don't need to be a kill leader in order to win a matchup in the finals.
Yeah, totally right. I mean, definitely great analysis. And just to let you guys know, of course, that was, I guess, last game of here on the broadcast. Cody does need to head out, unfortunately. However, the games are still going. I see a cash out game already going in the Discord right now. So if you're not already joined up, go ahead and type in exclamation point in the chat. Cody, I think, has already provided you a link. We are one member away from 500. Our yearly goal this year is to hit 1,000. Let's see if we can make it happen. Again, if you enjoy playing the finals and you're looking for more pugs, these can be ran at any time. They don't have to be just on Tuesdays at 8. However, we do make this a weekly series. And if you're interested, once again, in taking my seat or taking Piercing's there, submit us a ticket and let's get you on the casting desk. Or if you want to take your hand at observing, we can do that too. We can get you on the camera. So, Piercing, I think we're going to be headed out here, but what are, final thoughts? Where can people find you? What's going on in the world of Piercing CV?
So I'm still casting Rainbow Six Siege. I'm also obviously now casting the finals. So I have a weekly schedule that I will be posting every Monday that showcases what upcoming productions and streams I have going on. So as of right now, you can still find me on Twitch at Piercing CV, but I am heavily considering moving over to YouTube streaming. So the best way to consistently stay on track with me and keep up with what's going on is to check me out on X, same tag at PiercingCV. There is where I will be posting my updates and my schedule, which actually, funny enough, already needs to be adjusted, even though I just posted it.
Yeah.
Esports is a very volatile environment, folks. So follow me on X. That's the best way to keep in touch. And yeah, we'll see where we go from there. I'm glad to have that entry into the finals. Sam, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it was a blast. Thank you so much again for taking the time out of your evening, jumping in here. And I mean, you're our second guest, with the exception of Young. He was the first one to test out being a guest here on TFC Pug Night. So we'll hang out, get some feedback and things like that. And guys, Finals Esports, we're here. There's so much going on. Tune in Thursday again for the Crest League B stream, and PHL kicking off on Saturday. B streams happening here on the Finals Central. Good night, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you later.